Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day number 4 of our third custom mail-in tournament. Let's introduce the first group for today. Killer Kowalski, Sugar Booty Racing, Road Rage Racing, and Rico the Robot. We've got some veterans in this group, so this ought to be interesting. Killer Kowalski, for example, is already in the lead, but the gap isn't very big. Sugar Booty Racing actually passes him alongside Rico. As they get into another merger, it is actually Sugar who is out in front, but here comes Rico trying to take the lead from him. And it looks like Sugar's currently holding on to it. And now, in the last curve, into the straightaway, Sugar Booty has the lead, and they get the first win. They finished with a 16.33. Our current speed record is held by Dusty Miles, who was just short of breaking the 15-second mark, finishing with a 15.02 at one point. But look at this, Killer Kowalski, a fan favorite and a titan in these races, actually finished in 4th. Started off strong, but seemed to fall behind somehow. In race number 2, Killer Kowalski is getting a slight lead over Rico and Sugar. And as we get into the lane splits, he does have a slight lead, I think, but Sugar is making it difficult, and Sugar Booty Racing now has the lead. Killer Kowalski trying to catch back up. As they split again, Sugar is getting further and further away, and heading into their final stretch, no one is anywhere near them, and they get another victory. And Killer Kowalski finishes in 2nd this time, allowing him to breathe a little bit more after that scare in the first race. But they will need to keep that up, otherwise they could have an early exit. But now Sugar Booty is just one win away from stamping their spot in today's finals, and 2 races away from being the next person to get a sweep, which we've had a small handful of people do already. And Killer Kowalski started off with the lead, but as they went around that wide turn, they lost that lead. And then they had the tighter turn, they tried to get the lead back, but Sugar Booty said, "No way, I am holding on to this, you cannot take this from me." And now with that lead gotten back, they've gotten a bigger lead, and they finished in 1st yet again. And it looked like Killer Kowalski was going to finish in 2nd, but Rico, I believe, was able to snag it from him as they crossed the finish line. Let's take another look. Killer Kowalski tried to stop Rico from passing him, but I don't think it worked in the end. It did not. Killer Kowalski finished in 3rd. This is quite surprising. Killer Kowalski is known for being a titan in these competitions, but they seem to be shaken today. They start off strong, and then something happens that causes them to start falling behind. This is usually where that starts to happen, because right now they are side by side with Rico and Sugar. But look at this, Sugar Booty Racing is taking off once more. And Killer Kowalski is now at the point where he's slightly falling behind. He is a lot closer this time, but he is in 3rd. This is quite dangerous, and Rico the Robot stops Killer Kowalski. I believe he ended up finishing in 3rd. This could be a shock to the Races and Fun community. Rico did not want Killer Kowalski finishing in front of him, and it looks like it might have paid off. And ladies and gentlemen, a shock to the community as Killer Kowalski is out already. But we have to move on and introduce our second group, which has James Ironbeard, Miss Maple, Roxanne Marie, and the Hammer. The race has already begun, and James Ironbeard has a slight edge over the Hammer. As they get into the splits, will that change? It doesn't look like it has. Each time they go around that turn, the lanes will split and merge respectively, I should say. And James Ironbeard is currently holding on to that lead. And it looks like he's gotten just enough of one that he's able to cross the finish line without any hassle. finishing with a good time of 15.34. Meanwhile, here come the rest of the racers. Miss Maple finishing in 4th. Roxanne Marie finishing in 3rd. I know Roxanne Marie has a slightly longer name, but just for the sake of time, I'll call them Roxanne Marie for short. So after the first race, favor is for James Ironbeard, while the Hammer brings up the rear in 2nd, in terms of who will be able to move on. As we begin the second race, they're actually side by side right now, and they are sharing the same half of the lanes. James Ironbeard fell behind just slightly, but gained the lead back. Now has the inside turn, and now he's got an even bigger lead. However, the Hammer is trying to stay in contention with him, but something around that last turn caused him to slow down. But James Ironbeard spun around, and the Hammer found his window and took it. So James Ironbeard will not be able to get a sweep as a result, and he will not be able to stay undefeated. For some reason, as he went down that hill, his front end popped upwards, causing him to lose control for just long enough to allow Hammer to pass him. As they always say, it is not over until it's over. But James Ironbeard and the Hammer, as a result, are now tied with 8 points each. Now James Ironbeard tried to lunge forward at the start of the race, but the Hammer is already up alongside him, but they are splitting up this time around. Let's see if that makes a difference. Right now, James Ironbeard has that lead. And now will he be able to hold on to it? And even if he does, will he be able to stay straight as he gets into that final straightaway? Going around the turn, down the hill, he is on his feet and staying forward this time, and he gets the win. And he finishes with a slightly more consistent time, while the Hammer finishes in 2nd, Roxanne in 3rd, and Miss Maple in 4th. Yeah, at this point, I would have said anything under 16 seconds is promising. However, with how close some racers have gotten to 15 seconds, anything under 15 and a half will give you a bit more breathing room. But with that win, James Ironbeard currently has the lead in points, while the Hammer is in 2nd. The other two are pretty much out at this point, but they can throw a wrench into things for these other two. And they are staying relatively close together. In order for the Hammer to move on, he needs to at least finish in front of James Ironbeard right now. And he is closing that gap ever so slightly as they get further down the track. But James Ironbeard is trying to hold on to it yet again. So far is able to, and I believe James Ironbeard will be moving on alongside the Hammer, whereas Miss Maple and Roxanne end up short. Even if they did tie, actually, now that I think about it, I don't think they would do a tiebreaker considering they're both moving on. We did have a tiebreaker in the last video, so having 2 videos in a row that involved a tiebreaker would be a bit of a shocker. But now here's our final 4. James Ironbeard, the Hammer, Sugar Booty Racing, and Rico the Robot. They've all been pulling up relatively decent times overall. But now only the top 2 of these 4 will be moving on to the grand finals. And so far, James Ironbeard has the lead. But Sugar Booty Racing is known to pick up the pace around this point. And they are close behind James. Can they close that gap? It's looking like it's going to be a bit of a struggle. James Ironbeard goes down the hill and is looking to grab the win. Here comes Sugar, but they could not catch him. Meanwhile, Rico ends up going backwards, finishing in 4th. I'm not sure what caused them to spin around. They just started going sideways and couldn't correct themselves in time. So now things are looking even better for James. But the Hammer now has some competition with Sugar Booty Racing. But look at this, they start the race all side by side. Let's see how the lane split affects them. And it looks like it's currently in favor of James Ironbeard as he takes off alongside the Hammer, who has the lead for a moment, but James Ironbeard is looking to take it back, and it looks like he will, though not by a whole lot. And Sugar Booty Racing is not too far behind them either. But as we get into the final merger, the Hammer tries to pass James Ironbeard, but did not have enough space to pull it off. And look at that, it looks like James Ironbeard actually popped up into the air for a second once again, but he was able to fix it quickly and hold on to that lead. So now he's got 2 wins. One more will stamp his spot in the grand finals. But there's been a bit of a back and forth between the Hammer and Sugar right now. And Sugar is clearly not happy about that as they take an early lead. And as the lane splits happen, James Ironbeard was looking to grab the lead yet again. And he does, and Sugar Booty falls into 3rd place. While the Hammer is the one trying to keep up with James. We're around the last turn, into the straightaway. James Ironbeard looks like he went airborne once more, but he saved it and grabbed another victory. Meanwhile, Rico finishes backwards again. Yeah, Rico seems to be having trouble facing straight, or facing forward rather, on the straightaways. But now James Ironbeard is already in the grand finals, and currently favored to join him is for the Hammer, but only by a point. Sugar Booty Racing needs to finish in front of the Hammer in order to keep their hopes alive of moving on to the grand finals alongside James Ironbeard. But all 4 are relatively close to each other right now, and Sugar Booty was doing well at first, but after that turn, the Hammer takes 2nd place back from them. And it looks like they might be joining James Ironbeard, but look at this! Off camera, it looked like Sugar Booty was able to actually get in front of him. I believe we will have another tiebreaker on our hands. That is a rarity, and this is already the 2nd one we've seen in this tournament. Now, if you're just tuning into the tournament for the first time, the way this will work is they will race twice. And whoever gets the fastest time between those 2 races will be the one to progress. These 2 have been putting up a fight with each other. Sugar Booty usually starts off strong, and then the Hammer but ends up going a little bit stronger. And this is usually where that becomes a little bit more apparent, but they are staying neck and neck for the moment, with a slight edge given to the Hammer, who now has a slightly bigger lead. And now they go into the final turn. They got a little bit slow, and Sugar Booty takes off and gets the win, finishing with 16.25. So now, in order for the Hammer to move on, they will need to not only finish in front of Sugar in this 2nd race, but they will need to finish with a time faster than 16.25, which I believe they can do. But Sugar Booty is putting the pressure on them oh so immensely. And now look at this, Sugar Booty is currently in front of the Hammer. Will the Hammer be able to pass him? It looks like he will. And he has the inside lane going into the outside. And Sugar Booty's looking to close that gap once more. Now has the inside lane going into the straightaway. Sugar Booty currently has the lead, but the Hammer passes him, does a nose block. But he finishes slightly slower than Sugar Booty did in the first race. So I believe Sugar will be the one to move on. In fact, in all honesty, if the Hammer didn't do that nose block, he might have been able to pull it off. But it is James and Sugar moving on, and now we have 4 more slots to fill. Thank you all so much for watching. See you for the next day of racing.